I wish you all a very happy International Day of Women in Multilateralism. My name is Anna Plasat Murinova and I'm Ambassador and Permanent Delegate of Slovakia to UNESCO. Recently, I held discussion with one of my colleagues about why is it important to raise awareness about women ambassadors, women diplomats and workers in multilateralism. Why is it important? Because men, they don't do that. And so I told her about results of one project in which I personally participated, which researched that 95% of all female students in external relation faculties and universities in Slovakia were actively discouraged to become diplomats and discouraged by the professors to become diplomats and to enter multilateralism. Those professors, they argued that it's a difficult profession for a woman since diplomacy is a male domain and it's difficult to reconcile private and professional life. And when I saw these figures, I was just wondering how much more difficult it is to be a diplomat in comparison, for example, to a female doctor who has to serve night shifts or work in an emergency, or how much more difficult it is to be a female diplomat in comparison to a female worker in a factory who has to work also night or evening hours. So yes, diplomacy is still rather male than female domain, and yes, discrimination unfortunately still exists, for example, in terms of salaries or career progression. When you look in the situation in Slovakia, the higher you go, the less a woman you find, and we have about 15 to 20% female ambassadors worldwide. However, great advances have happened over the past years, and this not only in the global context when we talk about improving mobility, especially in Europe, but also worldwide possibilities to work online, but also inside diplomacy itself. And again, I'm speaking about Slovakia, where now is it possible for women to work part-time or to work on several days from home, or when the employer is paying school for children of those posted outside. So yes, it's very, very important to talk about this and to encourage girls and young women to apply for the positions in diplomacy and in multilateralism. My professional journey started years back when diplomacy was predominantly male domain and diplomatic service was very much or had very much this male culture. And I lived some situations that I may describe as discriminatory. I recall, for example, in 2015, when we were building up a team to be posted to Brussels and serve during our presidency in the Council of the European Union, I volunteered to be part of the team. However, my colleague, a woman who was building this team, she told me that it's not a position for me because the presidency is very time-consuming, very stressful, and I have a small child. My son was 4 years old at the time. So I had to keep persuading her over several days, several weeks. I told her that my husband is equally capable of taking care of our son, like me, and that even my mother and my family is ready to come on those really key periods to help us out. Finally, I persuaded her, and I was given the position. But again, it was not very straightforward. The second situation I recall, it was when I wanted to become an ambassador to Nairobi. And at that time, a male colleague, told me that this is not a country for a woman with a small child. My daughter, she was 1 at the time, and I was not given that position. But I was posted here to UNESCO, which is equally great and very exciting. But this just demonstrates that if a man was in my shoes, in my position at that time, these discussions, they wouldn't have taken place. I'm sure about it. So beside these two situations, I have to say that my experience was rather positive, and I slowly gained respect of my male colleagues as well. I have to say, although that I was very lucky because I was supported by strong female colleagues, and I would like to stress how important it is that we women support and help each other. And I'm also very lucky because I have a great husband. The beginnings were not easy for him, but with easier traveling, with possibilities to work online, things got really easy, and he was able to adapt. So to conclude, I would like to say that multilateralism and diplomacy is more and more about women. And I would like to encourage girls and young women to join our ranks. And one last advice: be yourself and be proud to be a woman.